Welcome, everybody, inside the coach's office. I'm your host, Dan Murphy, alongside my co-host, Brian Barnes, for this emergency podcast, Brian. And we originally talked about doing the show tonight. We were going to talk about the Tarek Skubal arbitration case, but the results are not going to come out till tomorrow, apparently. So we were going to hold off. And then all of a sudden, I hear my phone buzzing off like crazy. I'm like, what is going on? And sure enough, the Detroit Tigers signed starting pitcher Framber Valdez to 3 years, $115 million deal out of nowhere, completely out of left field. Brian, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
Well, like you said, I was hoping to talk about the arbitration decision tonight, and then I happened to check Twitter or whatever, and I saw it, and I was like, holy heck, didn't see that coming. And, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about, a lot of possibilities that this might, might surface now going forward. But it's very possible Scott Harris is playing checkers or chess and everybody else is playing checkers, and we didn't know about it, right? And so, great news. However you spin it, man, like this is pretty cool. Like this is what fans in Detroit
missed.
What's that? Yeah.
But we missed.
Yeah. This is like, oh man, now we're serious, right? Now let's go. And like, it'll still be interesting to see. We'll talk about how it's going to play out with Tarek Skubal, but I think it tells the fans like, hey, we're serious. Like, we are serious. So pretty exciting day.
Well, we talked about before the offseason began about, I kind of threw out the idea like, yeah, we're looking at some different people like Bregman and that, the typical names that were brought up. And I thought, don't be surprised if something out of left field happens. A move we're just totally not expecting. Like no one thought they were going to sign Gleyber Torres last year. Like that was totally out of, he thought Keith was the second baseman and he was solidified at second base. That was the plan. And all of a sudden they signed Gleyber Torres, somebody who said he will only play second base. And then, he thought, well, what are they going to do with Cole Keith? Well, they kind of just figured things out after that when they had an opportunity to get Gleyber Torres and he was out there and they signed him, right? And made the team better. It's another one of those situations. This is a far bigger deal, far more important deal, but completely out of left field. I don't know what it signifies in the immediate, because we're still waiting to figure out what's going on with Skubal in terms of the arbitration. Yeah. And there's still rumors. There's some rumors circulating today. I don't know how serious those were, but some rumors involving the Dodgers and Sasaki possibly being involved in that. And you wonder, could this be a situation where is Valdez the Skubal replacement in the immediate? Or is he just the replacement, down the road? Because if they can have Skubal and Valdez as your 1-2, they're a top contender to win the American League.
Yeah, no doubt. And we had heard some names, right? Lucas Giolito and Chris Bassett, and you mentioned it to me earlier. I think you texted me. You think it was going to be Bassett. I think you said, right?
I said Giolito because Giolito's been the name. Yeah. It's been
I remember you. Yeah, you sent somebody, and either one of those, I'd have been like, all right, like if that's your number 4, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'd have been down with any of those guys. Like heck, I've got some nostalgia. I'm like, resign Verlander, make him your 4 or 5. That'd be fun, right? But like. No, I didn't see this coming, but like fantastic. Now you have 2 legit number 1s, and one of them is the best pitcher in baseball. And if things stay as they are, which is pretty cool. Now, people are going to guess and people are going to wonder, like, hey, do the Tigers and Skubal know, what exactly the ruling is going to be and how does that affect them going forward? And maybe did that impacted this move right here, but I saw something. I don't know if it was Instagram or another social media platform where Tarek Skubal like put out, like he showed, on the move signing, Framber Valdez, and so he's doing the right things. Who knows at this point? I don't think like we've talked like the Tigers can win a lot of games. They could have won a lot of games anyway. Now they can win a lot of games with their current roster. As it is, right? We obviously would like them to have another bat, but they can still win a lot of games right now. And then come trade deadline, if they're still itching to need a bat, okay, maybe then that's when they make the move for the bat. Like we don't know, right? Which is the nice thing about
it puts them in a situation. You get to the trade deadline, you can go one of 2 ways. if things, you know, if things go south for whatever reason, we don't anticipate that obviously, but if for whatever reason things go south, you can trade Scooble, right? If they don't go south, which we anticipate, and then them being, you know, leading the division hopefully by the trade deadline, then you go out and that is the time you have the number one farm system. You go out and make that move to really push you over the top. But this is just, Brian, like this move, like we had talked about in a previous podcast with Dustin Fiocco, like pick a lane. You know, I was screaming like pick a lane. If you're gonna keep Scooble this season, then you got to go for it and try to win it this year. Like you got the best pitcher in baseball for one more season. You got to go and try to win it. And if you're not going all in to try to win it, then you should probably trade Scooble. And this is a clear sign. If assuming Scooble is a part of this team for 2026, this is a clear sign they're going and they're trying to win a freaking World Series, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, when they signed Kenley Jansen, I'm like, that's not, and you know they brought back, why can't I think
Kyle
yeah, thank you, Kyle Finnegan. Right, those aren't moves that signify, hey, we're moving on, we're cutting payroll, and we're playing the young guys. Like you don't do that if you're not serious. And we were kind of waiting, you know, and we're a week away from pitchers and catchers reporting, so we kind of knew something was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to be this big. Like we had talked, and this hasn't been the Scott Harris MO. Like he signed guys like Mark Canha, you know, and things like that. I mean, Gleyber Torres, yes, last year, but I just didn't feel like this was going to be that that type of move that they made. But awesome, extremely exciting. I mean, it's great right now to be a Tiger fan. That's great.
Well, you look at the depth of the rotation. You got to say they have the best rotation in the American League right now.
Yeah,
I mean, just top to bottom. I mean, they're not going to have a bad pitch. Assuming, you know, they don't get struck with injuries again.
No.
Like, you're going to have a pretty solid pitcher on the mound every day. Like, it's incredible what the rotation looks like right now.
And if you want to look beyond this year, I mean, one of the knocks on their farm system is that they don't have like that top of the rotation or that guy or that pitching depth, especially with Jackson Job's injury and his uncertainty on when he's going to be back, right? And then this year, like, you know, Casey Mize is up, Scooble, obviously, the Jack Flaherty stuff. But now you even if all those guys leave, at the very least, you have a number one starter.
Yeah, you still have an ace caliber pitcher.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I mean, which is didn't see it coming, man. Didn't see it coming.
Well, you look at the rotation now, Brian, with Scooble and Valdez at the top. Then you got Mize is now your number 3, Flaherty 4, your 5th starter. I mean, it's going to be quite the competition to see who the 5th starter is going to be.
So
with Reese Olson and Troy Melton and Montero, and I mean, Drew Anderson, who they signed from the Korea League. Like they have all of a sudden that starting rotation, they have a ton of depth now.
Well, so now do one of those guys, Reese Olson or Melton, like, do they become trade pieces?
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Try to get that bad.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's something. So, huge. It's amazing what signing can do for your roster and, you know, potential moves going forward. And like I know GMs and owners, they don't think like this, but like it's early February, like we're waiting for baseball, we're waiting for spring. I mean, you know, we're excited about the Red Wings and Pistons and stuff, but like
it's been of the dog days for them right now.
This is bringing some juice, and you and I were talking about, you know, content for Michigan Sports and Entertainment. It's like, holy heck, man, this is great. Like there's going to be it's going to be a very interesting like next couple days and next week. You know, this is fantastic.
Yeah, just an incredible deal. Let's look at it, you know, some of the statistics over the last couple of years. I mean, a 3.8 WAR last year, 3.66 ERA. Not his best year that he's had. Still a solid year. But you look at what he was 2 years ago, 4.4 WAR, 2.91 ERA. One of the best pitchers in the American League. And man, it's just so shocking that they got him, because you just didn't hear anything about him, like the Tigers being involved with Valdez. Like there was no rumors, there was no chatter about it at all. And the way it just changes the narrative, so many narratives about this team, about Scott Harris, about the direction of this team for this year, about the owner, Chris Illich. You know, he just constantly he's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder how much, you know, the arbitration with this deal. I kind of wonder, like, okay, were those talks true about, like, well, they're not going to go out and get Lucas Giolito unless they win the arbitration case. That's $13 million, and all of a sudden they make a deal like this tonight. I can't imagine that it was hand in hand to winning the arbitration case for a deal of this size.
I hope not. Like, don't kid yourself. Like, I don't think money's an issue. Like, I think the Tigers have the money to do this and, you know, pay Tarek Skubal the 32 if they lose. You know, I do. I mean, they do.
I believe that as well, but that's not what things we're hearing, though.
No,
for guys like John Heyman and things, and guys of that ilk, like they're saying, like, that, you know, the way the narrative was that the Tigers were really operating under a budget and that they needed that $13 million.
Yeah.
So I think it puts a lot of that to rest.
Sure it does. And this kind of reminded me of when the Tigers signed Prince Fielder. Like, you didn't see it coming, kind of thing. I mean, even though they had the Victor.
Well, even then you had the injury though to Victor.
You did, but
so was it looked like they needed something to improve the roster.
Yeah, but I didn't feel. I remember like that size.
No. You know, but you could see, like, all right, man, this is a huge injury to the roster. They're going to need something. And, you know, then they went out and got Prince Fielder. It was out of left field to go get him, a player of that caliber. But still, there was like, maybe they can go out and get somebody. This was just completely out of nowhere.
Well, and I think my favorite stat, and like sometimes, like, with the new age analytics and stuff, which I love, like, stats can be, you know, looked at a million different ways. But in looking at Valdez's career, he has 1 year where he wasn't a sub-4 ERA pitcher, and that was in Houston. And Houston is considered more of a hitter's park than Comerica Park. So, I mean, awesome. Like, his numbers could be sick in the American League at Comerica Park.
Yeah. So, incredible pitcher, ace caliber pitcher, but a large reason why the belief that he was still out there, not viewed as, the greatest teammate in the world. And gonna play this video real quick. It's just a quick video going over a situation that happened last year where it looks like he intentionally crossed up his pitcher. Go ahead and play the video and we'll give our reaction.
Unfortunate thing that used to be a relatively common problem in Major League Baseball. Every couple games, there would be a misunderstanding that would involve the pitcher and catcher not being on the same page with a certain pitch type being delivered. But this has largely gone the way of the dinosaur after the introduction of PitchCom, as these two parties now communicate directly, making it hard to cross up anyone. But we not only just saw one of these nearly extinct instances, but it seems it may have been done intentionally as a means of a hurler getting revenge on his game caller. Framber Valdez was on the mound in a 2-0 game, with the bases loaded and 1 out, and on a 2-2 to Giancarlo Stanton, he would punch out the ready on a racing changeup or sinker, I'm not exactly sure which, putting him 1 out away from getting out of trouble entirely. But it was then on a 1-0 to a player that's been clutch all year, Trent Grisham, that Valdez grooved a fastball right down the middle, seeing it crushed out to left field into the Crawford boxes, extending New York's lead to a much safer 6-0. That was Grisham's 3rd grand slam of the year so far, by the way. Now, on the surface, this seems like a pretty routine sequence, right? A pitcher just missed with his spot. But if you go back to the Houston broadcast, you can see his catcher, Cesar Salazar, telling him to step off before he even delivered the offering. Yet the lefty just went ahead and did so, and paid the ultimate price. This is obviously a stubborn move on his part, but if this is where things ended, nobody would be talking about it. But, you see, just 1 pitch later, we would see Salazar get handcuffed by a 93-mile-per-hour sinker right down the middle of the plate, with the catcher's immediate reaction being a stare out to the mound, which prompted Valdez to turn with an exasperated look on his face and walk behind the mound. Look at Caesar's reaction as he goes to deliver a new ball to the hurler. It certainly seems to me like he was peeved. And it's not like Framber was apologetic either, never even approaching his catcher to check if he was okay. And in case you might think this is a little soft of a request, consider what former professional catcher and current quality content maker Eric Sim had to say, being, quote, "If he did this on purpose after the catcher told him to step off, but instead refusing, then giving up a grand slam, F him. Especially when off-speed is called and throwing a sinker. I had a torn ligament on my thumb from one of those and was out for a year. Especially when you have the kind of movement Framber does, you absolutely cannot be doing things like this in any circumstance. Period. True psycho behavior. And of course, he would claim after the game that it wasn't intentional because, I mean, what was he supposed to say? I had an outburst and hit my catcher with a pitch intentionally? Of course not, but just based on his body language and pretty much every pundit's response to this, including former Major League player Dallas Braden, who believed it was 100% intentional, I think it's pretty safe to say it was so. This is going to go down as one of the all-time scummy teammate moves we have on video. And
there we go. I'm like mute for a second there, but yeah, there, Brian, like you see it laid out right there for you. Not exactly the greatest teammate in the world, judging from what happened last year, but he did play for AJ Hinch for many years. So you got to imagine, AJ Hinch was consulted with this move before the signing. And man, it's an interesting move from that perspective in terms of the Tigers and really all the teams in Detroit have really looked at, bringing high quality people into their clubhouse and onto their rosters, and team chemistry has been a big thing with all the Detroit teams, including the Tigers. So from that perspective, it is a pretty interesting move. Brian, what are your thoughts on what that situation last year, what it looked like an intentional cross-up, and what maybe AJ Hinch had to say?
Yeah, I mean, looked like an intentional cross-up, but I mean, it was an intentional cross-up, like for sure. And John Heyman tweeted out that Valdez did have a conversation with AJ Hinch recently, so right, so. Yeah, I mean, you have to know those conversations are happening and the expectations are happening before you make this deal. And I think from the outside perspective and everything you hear is that the Tigers have a pretty strong clubhouse. Like, it looks like all those guys get together. They have fun. You know what I'm saying? They hit a double. They always have the hand signals and stuff like that. So I think it is a pretty good clubhouse and the culture is pretty solid. And so, yeah, like those guys, I'm certain are going to be able to handle that. Okay. Like, hey, like, here's the way we do things, and, I saw a tweet from a baseball source. He said, imagine telling your back-to-back Cy Young Award winner and model citizen that, you're going to slander him in court. But by the way, between the 19 and 32 million, but by the way, you're going to give somebody else 38 over 3 years. Like that's kind of why I have a feeling like the Tigers, like I said, it's like I think it's like the plan all along was to trade Skubal, or the plan all along is that to pay him. They have no problem paying him. Like it's kind of weird.
I think the plan all along was they're going to ride the contract out until it ends. Get everything they can from him until then, and take the draft pick, unless they get blown away by an offer.
Yeah, which
they obviously haven't to this point.
Yeah.
And then to take the pick, because it's still a first. People act like it's no big deal, but that's a late first round pick.
And
you get from it's not nothing.
And with the comp pick, they got Kevin McGonigal, so like
exactly. So it's not nothing. I don't. People say, well, you can't let him walk for nothing. You're not necessarily letting him walk for nothing. You're getting another year of Skubal, plus you're getting a late first round pick. So it's not nothing. And this is clear. They're signing Valdez as this long term and 3-year deal. A relatively long-term replacement for Skubal.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And but like you said though, like right now, even without the bat, are they the favorite in the American League? Like you've mentioned ad nauseum how every other team in the American League we feel has gotten a little bit worse.
Yeah, the Tigers have by far improved more than any team in the American League.
Now, we didn't.
The Red Sox signed Ranger Suarez, which is probably the next.
Yep.
You could argue. Who's been better the last couple of years between him and Valdez, but they lost Bregman. So to me, it's almost kind of a wash with the Red Sox. It kind of evens out. The Tigers, they brought back everybody, and now they added Kenley Jansen in the back end of the rotation or back end of the bullpen, and they add an ace caliber starting pitcher. To me, it's clear that they're at least up there with the Blue Jays.
And let me ask you this: do you think they're done?
I don't know. I have no idea. Like I thought their money situation was tied up with the arbitration. I thought if they won the arbitration, they'd go out and get Giolito, and that would be it. Like who knows? And who knows at this point?
It's wild.
I would think. You brought up. We talked about the pitching depth. I mean, you could make a move to try to go get that hitter. That would be like we haven't seen Scott Harris make a free agent signing like this yet. We have not seen him make one of those high caliber Dave Dombrowski type trades yet either.
No.
Maybe he's thinking about making one of those moves. Because they still need a bat. Like, that's no doubt about it. They still need a bat.
Well, it's funny. I was listening to Sirius Radio today, the MLB channel, and they were ranking their top left fielders in all of baseball, and they rated Riley Green 4th. And I'm like, holy heck, okay. Like, I don't have a list of all the other left fielders in baseball in front of me. And they actually talked about how his home runs increased from 24 to 36, but his strikeouts obviously did too. And they had a quote from Riley Green, how he said that, like, he's willing to, sacrifice a few of those strikeouts so he can have his 3 best swings every at bat, which again goes against everything, you and I said, and it goes against what Scott Harris has said. Yeah. And so I still wonder, like, this offseason, like, are the Tigers this is their brand of baseball? Like, this type of, analytics type hitting, and his OPS is still high, and all those guys, like, you're going to have high strikeouts and low batting average and win games that way. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. So I want, like I said, they won a lot of games with the way they did, and AJ Hinch playing matchups and putting McKinstry in the right spot, and putting Wenzel Perez in the right spot and things like that. I've mentioned this like crazy too. I still think the Parker Meadows health, I think that's huge. I think the Tigers win 90 games if he's healthy those first couple months.
And Vierling, even if he doesn't play as well as he did in 2024, I think his leadership and that veteran presence that he brings is a huge help to that team. And I think they missed that last year. I think they really missed, veteran presence within that lineup during the collapse. And I think Vierling would have helped with that. So Vierling and Meadows being a part would be huge.
I agree with that. And hey, we have we got a couple comments. Are you interested in talking about those?
Yeah, what's here? So it's our buddy Dustin Whitehead commenting here. He talked about, it's all about term 3 years versus 7 to 9. And I think that's the big thing in terms of Skubal. They don't want to give Skubal into his 30s, an 8-9 year contract, where instead they can give Valdez 3 years.
Well, and do you think it's possible to like maybe the Tigers know other teams aren't going to want to give him that many years? Like, do you think many teams other than the Dodgers? But even the I think Skubal's going to break records, man. Do you?
I think that's what they're trying to do. I think that's why they went with the $32 million arbitration number. Mm-hmm. I think that's why they're waiting for free agency. They're trying to break records. They're trying to set the bar. Even Skubal's a huge part, of the union. Like, they're trying to set the bar of what pitchers can get.
And we said, at the end of the season, like, this is going to be a fascinating offseason, right? Maybe we're now getting to that point. Is it possible that Tigers brass, when they saw the $32 million because they can't stand Scott Boras, are like, double middle finger salute? Okay, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's different in terms of, who's getting signed when not. But it reminds me of when Scherzer declined the long-term contract offer, and they immediately went and gave the long-term extension to Cabrera.
Yeah. Illich was pissed. Yeah. Mike Illich was pissed. Yeah, for sure. No, I remember. You're right. Who knows? Who knows?
But it does feel like this is the year, though. Like, all of a sudden, this is the year to go win the whole thing.
Yeah.
You have a 1-2 Skubal and Valdez. That's as good as anybody in baseball, including the Dodgers. This even gives you an opportunity with that type of top tier pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get in a 7-game series, they're pitching 4 or 5 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 stud pitchers, like, you give yourself a chance if you get to go and play them in a 7-game series.
I'll give the Tigers credit here too, and I'm sure there are teams that maybe are similar to the Tigers in this mold. Like nobody else in the American League, we really feel like. I know Dustin said that like Seattle's done some nice things. Yeah, sure, they lost Suarez too, and maybe they planned on losing him after acquiring him. Who knows? But, like, the Tigers aren't just giving in to the Dodgers. Like, I think there are a lot of organizations that are just like, you know what? Hey, maybe we can get there, but we can't beat the Dodgers, so why even bother? It's pretty cool that it doesn't look like the Tigers feel that way. Like, for all the Chris Illich bashing, and which is, again, has been fair, and the questioning Scott Harris, like, doesn't seem like the Tigers are just, giving into the Dodgers. And I hope tomorrow, because we're not going to be on tomorrow, I hope the Pistons don't, feel the same way. Like, I hope they're just not like, we can't beat Oklahoma City. You know what I'm saying? I hope something big happens and like, no, screw that. Like, we're right there. Let's go. So,
yeah. I mean, we've been waiting for a team in Detroit to make a move of this caliber, and the team just haven't done it for whatever reason. The team just haven't made that move to kind of push their chips to the middle of the table. This feels like the Tigers have picked a lane for 2026, and they're pushing their chips to the middle of the table for this year. Now, it doesn't mean like it's all or nothing year. Like I mentioned that, the Max Scherzer not signing that extension back in 2014. I remember going into that season, I'm like, well, they got to win it this year, because if they don't win it this year, they have nothing coming up from the farm system. Like, this is it. It's World Series or bust, and they busted. They busted big time, and they didn't get back to the playoffs until 10 years later. So this is not that situation. They're kind of going all in for this year, but they also have the number one farm system. So even if they don't win it all this year, the future is still bright because of so many, incredible prospects that they have coming through the pipeline. And like, I wonder if, this kind of move to, pushing your chips to the middle of the table for 2026, I wonder if this makes them more aggressive with how they handle Kevin McGonigal for this season. And if he's really good this spring, they say, screw it, let's go. Like, let's put him at the starting shortstop and opening day. And let's go, man. Let's put our best talent on the field opening day.
Yeah. And you bring him up, and like that'll cause a big domino effect for the roster, because we've mentioned before, they're still like, we feel like they have too many guys like on the floor in a good way.
Too many guys that are very similar.
Yeah.
Good players, but not great players. And they all they're similar. Yeah.
Well, again, and I don't think it'll happen between now and spring training, but I think it'll happen by opening day. Again, how many guys how many at bats are there to get all their outfielders? Right. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, if McGonigal is up, it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect Colt Keith. It's going to affect McKinstry, Baez. Like, again, if Parker Meadows is healthy, is Baez your everyday center fielder? Like, we've talked about that. Like, there's so many things. What do you do with Wenzel Perez?
I think he's the odd man out. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that way. Is Kerry Carpenter becoming a full-time DH, or does he still like the platoon or whatever? Like, there's so many, which I'm sure they've gone through this entire offseason in their mind, and I think that's all going to play itself out by opening day. I think it has to. I don't think there's enough spots to keep all those guys.
Well, spring is going to be fascinating for the back end of the rotation to see who's going to earn those fourth and fifth spots. Who's going to actually make, what do you do with Troy Melton now? Like, I don't imagine he'd be in the rotation unless he just blows it away in spring. But, I mean, look how good, he looks so good in the play, especially that Seattle series, how he performed, with the bright lights and the big pressure and the big games, how he performed.
He did.
Like, I was so excited to see him in the rotation this year, but I don't know if there's going to be a spot.
No, and what's funny is Tony Paul, our buddy who we had on a couple weeks ago, he had a tweet. Somebody, MLB posted like the Tigers' potential starting rotation, and Melton wasn't on there. Yeah. And Tony, tweeted, "Hey, what about me?" That's a great point. I mean, maybe it'll just be a competition this spring, and it's good. It's a good problem to have, when you have all those arms. Like I think about it when the Tigers, in the 06 to whatever it was, 2014 run, and Jason Grilli. I don't know if you remember that name, but he was kind of like and then he goes to Colorado and he's an all-star closer. It's like, but he was a good arm, right? It just seems like they have a lot of good arms right now, which it's been a long time since that's happened. And, you mentioned going forward, if this is Skubal's last year and Valdez is your number one next year, like if you get a healthy Jackson Jobe, right, and he's a restructured arm and everything, and like he's at the top of the rotation guy too, like, you're still setting up pretty good.
And he's still a guy, man. I think he has a couple of more levels to reach Casey Mize. I think he's got it in his arsenal to be a top tier pitcher. And it just feels like that at times they didn't, give him the reins to go. They pull him, after, I think both playoff starts, they pulled him after 3 innings. He was still looking good. Like he didn't, they didn't give him, a long leash. And I still think he's got another level to hit. And if he hits another level next year, and he's your number 3 pitcher, he was an all-star pitcher last year.
Right, I know.
He was a 1-1 draft pick. Like
right.
I mean, Reese Olson is your fifth starter.
Yeah.
On paper right now.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's
awesome.
incredible what a move like this just can change the whole vibe of a fan base and how you look at a team going into the season. It's incredible. I mean, because all the PR, everything that was going on was so negative because of all this arbitration stuff, and both sides look bad, but especially the Tigers look bad because just from the outside looking in, if you don't know all the details of it, the Tigers just look cheap. They look like crap. They look like they're treating their face of their franchise like garbage, and that's how it looks from the outside. And then all of a sudden they make a move like this, and it changes the whole feel of everything.
Sure does, man. Sure does. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun.
Well, any final thoughts here, Brian, before we jump off here?
Yeah, I still don't think they're done. Like I said, I think something will happen. Maybe not in the next week, but by the end of spring training, I think it might be a smaller move. But I think something will happen. There'll be something again. The roster, they have too many quality guys fighting for at bats on the major league.
Fighting for spots on the roster.
Spots.
Alone,
right?
Every day at bats.
Right. Yeah. So, no, great day to be a Tiger fan. Like you said, we were waiting for our home teams to do something, and they did. And now it's up to the Wings and Pistons to do the same thing in the next, few weeks, and the Lions this offseason. But yeah, good. Feeling pretty good now.
It does, and it does make you feel good about the future in terms of like it doesn't feel as bad if Skubal leaves. We know he's leaving, but it doesn't. It kind of takes the sting off of it a little bit because you got somebody who can step in and take over and be the ace of the staff.
Well, let me ask you this really quick. You're giving 3 years to a guy, $38 million, whatever, guaranteed. Are those guys worried about a lockout? Scott Harris, you know what I'm saying? Like Scott Harris and Chris Ilitch, like what's their thinking? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. If they're willing to give that type of money to Valdez, does that mean that they're completely out on the Skubal talks this offseason? I don't know.
Who knows?
It changes the whole narrative, man. This deal changes a lot of things, man. A lot of thoughts about what this organization is and what they're willing to do.
I love the alternate history, or I love the years down the road, you figure out what was really going on. Like, it's one of those things, or you watch a 30 for 30 and holy heck, like that's pretty wild. Like, yeah, who's to say they've known forever Skubal was just like, hey, I'm not resigning, like keep it quiet, whatever. You're right. And who knows? But you make a good point. No matter what, and here's the other part we didn't talk about. If they do trade Skubal, there will be some prospects in there, but they're not going to accept a deal unless you get a major league ready player in return, right? So maybe there's your bet, right? There's
possibly, but I'd rather just at this point, man.
Right, I want to ride
Skubal Valdez.
No,
let's go. I always said you got two studs
you
at the top of your rotation. You can compete with anybody. You are a World Series contender if you got two aces. And the Tigers now going into 2026 have two aces at the top of their staff, and there's without question that the Detroit Tigers with this signing today are going into 2026 where their current roster on paper is a World Series contender.
Yeah.
Well, that will do it for us. Thank you for joining us in this emergency podcast. The Detroit Tigers have signed Framber Valdez to 3 years, $115 million deal out of left field. Huge deal for the Detroit Tigers. For Brian Barnes, I'm Dan Murphy, and we'll see you again down the road.